This event is supported and organized by CSL Behring, Talent Acquisition Switzerland. And we would like to give special thanks to Alban Haliti, Talent Acquisition Business Partner, who was leading this organization and collaboration. I would like to share a few things and few slides about women in digital. And just give me a second, and then. So I would like to share who we are, what we are doing, and why we are doing that. And probably then you will also hear and see this collaboration, how we grow together and how we organize this together. So we are Women in Digital Switzerland. We are a community for modern leaders who want to elevate diversity. We are also a platform, and we give spotlight to people who want to advance or change their careers in digital economy. And we also help to extend your network or people's network in today's and tomorrow's world. Sorry, I cannot go out. Yeah, it's change. We are change makers. We stand for diversity and inclusion. And we are very much active and supported by all these things which are happening and changing in today's digital economy. So this is briefly about us. And we are, I could say we are the biggest and the largest community in Switzerland. We hosted lots of events, mostly digital, last 3 years, mostly digital, but this year we are very proud that we have also face-to-face events starting and changing the landscape of our cities. And to support us, if you want to learn about us and of course to help us grow, please check the links which will be shared with you in the chat. So to visit Women Digital Switzerland, to support and even to help us with the service so that we can organize ourselves better and for future events. Now I have to stop sharing, and I would like then to go back to introducing our guests and our speakers. And so our speakers and panelists today are Dr. Tamara Markovic, Dr. Carmen Weber, and Dr. Barbara Birtoli. Now, without further ado, let's start this amazing conversation and let's understand more about the impact of digital transformation in biopharma and how CSL Behring and CSL Vifor are navigating through the digital transformation journey. So I would like to invite each of you, Carmen, Tamara, and Barbara, to introduce yourself, to say something about your background and about your organizations.
Shall I start then? So just before I start with my personal introduction, I would like also to introduce, for those who are not familiar with CSL family, who we are and what we do. So really, in very short, we are a biotech company. It's an umbrella that covers 4 separate entities, 4 separate companies with slightly different businesses. But in general, we are in rare diseases business. So we particularly CSL Behring, we also have CSL Plasma and CSL Vifor and CSL Seqirus, right? So here we are representing the Behring and the Vifor, and you will see that we are working as a one family, but the business model is slightly bit different. And what I can also say is our general focus is the rare diseases, people who otherwise would really suffer in terms of supply of medicine, and it's a very particular niche. So we are a niche company. It's not surprising. You've never heard about us. And we are probably, at least myself, we are very proud when you never heard of CSL Behring. That means that you never had problems with such diseases or don't know anyone who have these very, very difficult diseases in their life. which is good. Me personally, my name is Tamara Markovic. As you heard, I am a manager in CSL Behring's regulatory affairs, particularly with recombinant and gene therapy portfolio. I have been there for about 5 years now. And my background is in biology, biochemistry, but also in business, particularly in technology and innovation management. So what is there to say more? I'm very, very excited that Women in Digital has picked up this very important topic and that we have this opportunity today to chat in this environment that is very, very close to my heart. So thank you so much for the invitation. I can pass it on to Carmen.
Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, you can, Carmen or Barbara.
Sounds good. I can take it from here. Thank you, Tamara, for introducing CSL. A couple of words about myself. I am a scientist by background. I studied biochemistry and did a PhD and postdoc at ETH of Zurich, and then transitioned to CSL Behring approximately 3 years ago. And in my current role, I'm a digital transformation manager within research and development. So the team that I joined is mostly involved in managing any projects in the digital and data space, from data management all the way to generating insights and automating workflows for R&D. It's a big pleasure to be here today and to see so many faces in the audience. I'm looking forward to our discussions, and I will hand over to Barbara.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you. Hello, everybody. So also from my side, first of all, thank you, Andrea, for inviting us to this event and having the opportunity also to present our positions and what we deal or how we deal with the digitalization. As you said, my name is Barbara Birtoli. I'm a Swiss neurobiologist with Italian roots. I did my biology study here in Switzerland, in the nice University of Bern, and I have a PhD in neurophysiology, where after my PhD, I started my pharmaceutical career in the medical department as a clinical study manager in a little mid-sized German pharmaceutical company. And now, since more than 14.5 years, I'm part of the former Vifor Pharma, which now is CSL Vifor. So since about a year now, we are part of the CSL family. And let me introduce a little bit also CSL Vifor. We are coming a part of the rare disease, as Tamara rightly also introduced. We are experts also in nephrology. So we have quite a lot of products which focus on nephrology. And in my actual position, I'm the head of the commercial training and capabilities, where I oversee 3 different pillars, mostly everything what it is internal product and disease onboarding, training, development. The second pillar is more all the sales capabilities, and the third one is all the marketing capabilities. So from science to internal training, as you can see. And again, thank you for having me here and being part of this nice community today.
Great. So let's start with the conversation. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Carmen. So I would start with a question. Can you share something about digital transformation, what it means for biopharma, and how companies like CSL Behring and CSL Vifor are navigating through this shift? What are challenges or opportunities? Yeah. So Carmen and Tamara, or Tamara.
Maybe I can kick it off by saying I think digital transformation is one of those buzzwords which, you know, a lot of people have heard of, but a lot of people have different understandings of. Starting from how you get there. So I think for me, you know, there's 3 important components. There's the digitization, where you go from analog to, you know, things that you enter into the computer. There's also digitalization, where you would put a whole process into a computer. So for instance, like sending something by email instead of before writing it in a letter or just writing it into the computer. And then all the way to digital transformation, which for me is much more than just that. It is really also, and I'm coming back to my favorite topic, which is innovation. It is, thinking out of the box and thinking a step further, really changing the way we work. And the reason why I'm saying this is that I think this really changes the way you approach it. If you think of it just as, well, from now on, instead of writing it on a piece of paper, we will just write it on a piece of paper in the computer, basically. You will, perform your job in a very different way than if you think, well, now that we have everything digitized and our processes are digitalized, what can we do with it and where can we go with it? So for us within research and development, there are additional challenges to that, and that is that our processes change every day. And there's no, one way how to do it, and then you can just optimize everything in that way. So that is one of the areas which is super interesting to explore as well. And then for biopharma in general, I think there's a lot of interesting avenues for digital transformation because we are a very regulated environment as well. And I think that's where I'm going to hand over to Tamara, because that's definitely something that she knows much more about than I do.
Yeah, actually, really, really good point you're raising, that we have these two very specific characteristics in our industry, which is we are extremely regulated, one of the most regulated industries out there. And also we are very conservative. So we have patient safety at our heart, and we really we don't have much space for experimentation in a risk sense. So we really have to comply with all the rules and regulations out there. And we need to make sure that, so patient safety is the biggest concern. And in that sense, we are still on this digitalization, digitalization and digital transformation journey as an industry, as a whole industry, not just CSL or individual smaller companies, but we are definitely lagging behind other industries, specifically for the reasons of being so regulated and being so conservative and risk averse. So that saying, it's still exciting time to observe where the vision is taking us. So where we are seeing this digital, the transformation is taking us. What are the aspects that we should be expecting to come our way? And again, as an industry, we're looking for this transformation to open up so that we utilize the technology to offer us some elements of the business that are new to us, new to capture. So it's the business model that needs to expand into maybe capturing new markets. So this is something that we want to harness the new technologies, the advanced technologies. But so this is the bigger vision, which is still out there. But what is very exciting is to act on a local level and see how we individuals can actually work on to advance our own jobs in some maybe smaller way, but it actually has quite an important ripple effect. And in this whole paradigm of digital transformation, we have the paradigm shift. So we are now starting to think how our jobs are changing within the whole industry change. And what skills do we need to build today so to be kind of matching that job in the future?
So it's interesting. Two things. First, I really like how Carmen explained digital transformation. Very, very nice. And second, this is like really, you have to be innovative, you have to move forward, and then you have to stay in this regulated, heavily regulated market. So Barbara, maybe you can share then challenges or opportunities, to so that we have this glimpse of these things which you can, of course, can share with us.
Yeah, thank you. Clearly, what Carmen and Tamara just mentioned, I fully align with what you said, and that I think the fact, the challenge, to add to a challenge, as Tamara said, the fact that we are so heavily regulated. Sometimes in adapting, biopharma doesn't have the same agility as other companies have to really be as fast as possible, as, let's call it digitalization, but also the whole omni-channel approach of a customer finally requests. So it takes quite time to sometimes also find the right technologies and the resources. This could also be one of the challenges we found, and it's also, you know, in a company like also pharma, and not only, some challenges we might have would also be the willingness to adapt to this new normal. If you remember, a few years ago, we were all pushed on one slab in this new normal, right? With COVID starting with, I mean, having much more TCs or meetings like we have it today in a virtual format. Now imagine ourselves, which are sitting in our offices, being now in front of our computer. It's not a problem, but often people who are sitting in the field or having customer contacts every day in person, changing from one day to another and having only virtual and digital approaches, this is quite a change. So as already mentioned, the opportunity is there now with digitalization, is to develop clearly new capabilities related to this digital transformation, also internally, without, from my side, coming more from the commercial and marketing side, forgetting the analog part of it, right? It's not that we shift totally to digital, but it's how we orchestrate everything, right? And in pharma, at least commercially, this is quite an important opportunity to really have this looking over the border, as Carmen already mentioned, and have the big picture in front and say, how can I develop my capabilities and my innovative mindset as an opportunity to see the big picture and to combine digital with analog, putting always the person in the middle to finally have the effort, or have an organization who put a lot of effort to better serve the customer, and at the end, as a pharmaceutical company, having the patient in the center of our minds, right? Because that's at the end what we want, not only as CSL, but all of our pharma companies, or all of the pharma companies, have the patient at the center. Yeah.
Yeah, and build on this, I would maybe, Tamara, this is for you. So can you share with us, and whatever you can share regarding technologies and trends you explored or you leverage in this transformation, digital transformation strategy or journey? This would be also interesting to hear. What was maybe the central or the part which you can share in this transition, combining these two realities, I could say, like digital reality and of digital, like analog reality of the business side of space.
I really like how you picked on me, because the regulatory affairs is a really perfect example of how we are on a very long journey between paper to anything digital and anything even more advanced. So good, really good question, in fact. And our role is definitely changing. And just for all the listeners who are maybe not familiar with what Regulatory Affairs Division is doing, we are the department within a pharma company that is, in a more picturesque way to explain, is on the intersection between legal and science. So we are the ones who come to health authorities to present scientific evidence in a certain context, and actually in a very structured and standardized way. So what is very interesting is that we are now seeing that part of our work, which is really preparing these documents, is now being changed. And we are seeing we are more moving towards idea of transferring data to a health authority and chaperoning the data and insights to the relevant professionals in health authorities. And again, there needs to be the bridge between the two, that this exchange is safe and that the both parts are digitally literate to do so. So we are working with different global health authorities. Some of them are not so technologically advanced as others, but it's very, very interesting to see now with the advent of cloud technology and big data analytics specifically, that we have much more opportunities to work together, to collaborate, to accelerate this process and move from paper, from the data that is presented in a very unstructured, not going to say unstructured, but in terms of data is unstructured, but it's really a very plain way in paper and documents, and it's hidden with still electronic formats into something that is more easier to deconstruct, reanalyze in a different shape. So for health authority to take the data from different companies and analyze them for their own purpose and extract the relevant insights is very, very relevant to patients. And it's something that we see more and more opportunities coming up, and the technology is becoming ready enough to support it. So again, very, very big change is coming in our role, and we need to adapt to it, and pretty soon.
And this is perfect. Sorry.
I just wanted to add to that. I think it's a beautiful example showing that, you know, we sometimes, especially now in your field, you cannot act on your own, right? You will also need the health authority side accepting, right, the digital work. So I thought that was a beautiful example. In R&D, you know, I think also a lot of what you said, Mara, is true. It's a lot of it is about data management and then tools to use it. And I want to loop back to what Barbara said before. I think in the end, what's also really important is not to lose the human out of sight. So when you're introducing tools, you're introducing interesting data management ways of working, etc. A lot of the points of failure have actually been, you know, the people actually using the tools and the way it is introduced to them. So that's one of the places where I see a lot of interesting things going on besides the technological aspects.
So this is perfect segue from like this technology and digital questions to this more like human side of the story, or human side of the change. So I would like to address to all of you, to all three of you, how does this digital transformation influence or changed or advanced your personal career within biopharma? So is it something you would like to share? Like, doesn't matter if it's a story or example, but it would be also interesting to hear this like people side of people voice of the digital transformation, and especially in biopharma. Whoever we want, I would like to hear from all of you three. So you can start.
I can start how it changed my life. You know, I might be the oldest of us three presenting today. So when I started, everything was quite analog, right? Clearly, we already had computers, but it was in the word of training, it was quite old-fashioned, you know. It was face-to-face training. I needed to be the one preparing nice PowerPoints and then standing in front of a lot of people and having my training only face-to-face. So digitalization for me started also or transformed my personal career, because I had the opportunity to get very fast, and also thinking, please bear with me that I'm going in more in adult training, thinking at the training, for example, as a journey, right? The journey of not having like a 1 hour session or one workshop and then it's done, but looking at the learning journey. And digitalization helped me a lot to make what I give to my internal stakeholders much more interesting and keeping them much more enthusiastic. So I needed to adapt to that, starting, for example, to develop e-learnings, right? To get the capability to develop an e-learning using new technologies, where an e-learning, it's not only a PDF read and then exam, but having interactions, having drop downs, having a lot of quizzes and so on. So this was one of the things I needed to adapt, to learn this digital approach of training. But in addition to that, as said, it made my position I have now much more variable, much more enthusiastic and variable, because you were not using always the same approach. Clearly, it meant for me adapting also the new situation, coming from more a scientist, as the three of us being scientists, but getting out of this cloud of well-being in new adaptation, right? So it keeps the life quite interesting, because digitalization, that's also very, very interesting. What we say today might not be the same tomorrow. So it's so fast and so agile that's something how also my personal career progression is changed. I need really to be agile together with digitalization to do the next step. So willingness and ability to adapt to what our customer, or finally our internal stakeholders through digitalization also would like to see from us in our different position, right?
Yeah, this is what I can hear. This is like lifelong learning, and this is like way of life in the world of today. So continuously proving yourself as a person, as a professional.
Yeah,
this
sure.
is what I heard. So great. Yeah. And maybe Tamara and or Carmen, you want to add to, or you to share your part or your stories?
I can continue on Barbara's. She really inspired me now with this whole how as well we evolve with the circumstances, and also our own careers involved within given circumstances. So my story is also a very, very good example on how a career can really zigzag and surprise you and end up at the beginning where you started with the same topics. And again, I have a PhD in computational biochemistry. And when I started as well, that was a really long time ago now, but I was one of the early generations that was able to run quantum chemistry models, so on even rather small molecules. So at the time, I was very happy to do my PhD at Imperial College, which had computational center with the supercomputers able to do such research. And we managed to get the sophistication of models to get about a good precision to show the same results in the lab. So we had really the first generation that started to have usability in these models. And even at the time, industry was not interested to invest in this research. It was too early. Mind you, this was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, not so long time ago, but there was zero interest. And I left this field. It was very obscure part of academia, chemistry, very dark corner of science, and moving into consulting industry. And then fast forward some 5-6 years later, I'm hearing that all the bells and whistles about in silico models and how this is a big promise and industry needs investing a lot in actually the field I used to work in. And now I am at the point where, so now we are again 5-6 years later, and now it's actually talked a lot about at health authorities, and we are seeing this evidence being presented to FDA, to EMA, and they want to implement it more and more because it generates incredible benefits. It saves time, it saves effort. We are using less animal testing. So it's something that is really revolutionizing the field. And I used to work in it some 15 years ago. It was no interest. So we are, with the computational capabilities really picking up, we are able to do more and more. And we are seeing now a lot of topics popping up, and we are adapting and learning, and again, lifelong learning, and we don't know where the career will end up in the end.
This is a perfect match also because we are supporting this as Women in Digital. And Carmen?
Yes.
Maybe your story and your side of the journey.
Absolutely. I had one more comment to what Tamara and Barbara said. You know, this change, which wasn't seen maybe a couple of years ago and now keeps coming. And someone recently said, you know, it's the change is getting faster and faster, but it's never as slow as it is right now because, well, in the future, obviously, it's only getting faster. And from my point of view, I've always been interested in data science in terms of efficiency, automating tasks that I just didn't want to keep repeating every day. And then joining CSL Behring after a while, this shifted towards more of this innovative thinking of not just increasing efficiency or automating tasks, but really getting more out of our data. And that's what motivates me at the moment most. For this digital transformation, really seeing where can we get with this. And so in a way, I've always been interested in the topics. I've always been also looking a bit into that direction. And still I can say that the job that I'm doing right now, I didn't know there was this kind of job a couple of years back. So this goes along the lines that also Barbara and Tamara mentioned. You keep adapting and you don't really know what's going to come your way. As long as you keep an open eye and an open ear, you'll be fine.
Yeah, me to this. I'm just thinking, are there some new skills or qualification or upskilling which is crucial or which are crucial for the individuals starting or being in the biopharma industry? Maybe Barbara, you can touch this topic, because I think that this is very important to hear, because it's changing and probably it's not something which is the same. But what would you, share today? What you think that it's important?
Yeah, if I may add there, I think the first skills or capability I would like to mention there is really agility. If you are not or you don't have the willingness really to adapt fast, and there might be a reason or a why or a character who prefers to stay where he is or she is, but agility is one of the skills you really need in this new environment of digitalization. When it comes, again, more from a commercial point of view, what I can tell you, if I look, for example, at marketing, right? Marketing a long time ago at pharma was more prepared, nice detail aid, nice visualization, and so on. What we are looking for are talents, are people which are have the skills or develop their skills in, for example, digital marketing. And digital marketing, it's not only visualizing data science into nice visuals, but it starts from analytics of insights. It goes through understanding the technology. I already mentioned also the whole omni-channel approach. I mean, all of us, or most of us, use social media, and also the customers of pharmaceutical company do so. These medias, and not only the social ones, these are the channels. Also, pharma often is collaborating or communicating with our customers, and today, as a pharma, we need to be to give the right information at the right time through the right channel to the customer, and they decide when and where they want to have this information. So all this approaching of digital marketing is very crucial. Data analytics, for example, but also everything which is project management with the more digital mindset. It's also very important. People who have innovation in their mind, artificial intelligence might be also, and starts to be, the future also for pharma industry. So all these skills might be and will be quite important. When I look at the sales point of view, a part of understanding the big picture of this digitalization, we mentioned that also before, at the center you have always the patient. And you will also have, in this case, the customer at the center, because we in Europe, for certain drugs, we are not allowed to speak directly with patients. So our first customers for our drugs are physicians, authorities, and so pharmacists. We need to understand that as Salesforce, for example, my human interaction is still the most important, but the new skill you would need also is this orchestrating of your cross-functional colleagues. If you have an information about some of the preference and insight of some physician groups, you need to orchestrate and work on that with your colleagues in pharma, and also be ready to be agile and do the next step from a face-to-face meeting to an email sending to a webinar. So all this open-mindedness around omni-channel and orchestration, for example, is in pharma is very important. Saying that, and I think there was one of the question also in the chat, you don't need always to be a scientist to be part of pharma and digitalization. There are a lot of very nice functions which come more from a business point of view, or if you have digital background, that's demanded and will be even demanded even more, for the future. So don't hesitate, even if you don't have a scientific or a medical background, to look out and reach pharmaceutical companies, because engineers or project management with digital background will be very, very important also for biopharma companies.
Yeah. This is very interesting, because this is actually then combination of different skills, and then you can make your uniqueness through combination of different skills. But what I would just add to this question is actually then you are talking about learning new skills, like this kind of upskilling, but also reskilling. So is it possible that people within biopharma change some, how to say, positions or some some jobs. This is also interesting. Is this like in other industries, or the change of jobs within the same industry? It's like something which is not seen yet.
I mean, if I take myself, and I hope I got your question right, I had now at Vifor Pharma, or now CSL Behring, I had 7 different positions and functions, and this were not only based on, you know, the career I had as from medical going more deep into, you know, from a local only Swiss going global, and then from global, from medical going in medical marketing and so on. It is also due because there were new functions developed. For example, we have in our company omni-channel champions, yeah? Customer engagement leads. These were all positions which didn't exist 3-4 years ago. And for that, if you are agile and open-minded to learn new skills, or if there are new talents also coming from outside, the opportunity is there, right? So we had to adapt internally, but clearly this opens a lot also out for new talents from outside. So around digital, at least from a CSL Vifor point of view, and I'm sure because CSL as all is much bigger as CSL Vifor or the Vifor Pharma before was, right? There are a lot of new positions which are really developed based on the digitalization. So if you are also looking, you know, for an opportunity there, keep your eyes open, because pharma companies are looking really also to professionals or new joiners who have this mindset in their mind, and additional new positions I'm sure will grow out of you know the needs coming from our customers.
Yeah. So Carmen, maybe this is a question for you then. So built on this, what Barbara said, so can you share something about how this digital transformation affected traditional roles within your organization? Are there new roles created? How you see this transformation, or how you like went through all these things also from the position or roles? I don't like the word position, but more for roles side of the professional engagements.
So I think what we see on our side, and I think Barbara has already covered the new roles and recruiting aspects, but in terms of people that are in the organization, what we see is, you know, like there is definitely, as always, there is an upskilling need, and it's something that we are working on. There's, you know, there's courses offered either very specific or then really from programming all the way to change management. And we do see, you know, the need to adapt, every one of us, and to just like keep rolling with the change. So I think, you know, even though sometimes job ads are still, you know, framed the same way as they were 5 years ago, there is intrinsically an aspect of your role which will go into the direction of adapting to change and staying agile, as Barbara said.
So, and if you want to change, or if you need to change, what kind of professional development or training opportunities CSL Behring or CSL Vifor provides to current employees, and how they support from this development side? Can you share this, maybe Tamara, like your opinion or your experience on that topic?
Yeah, I can, at least in my function. I am a lead for collaboration between CSL and Berner Fachhochschule, which is the University of Applied Sciences in Bern, on a development of a CAS program in regulatory affairs in pharma. And we have been running this program for 3 years now. And the last year, we specifically included a module on digital transformation in pharma, because we wanted to accentuate how important digital literacy is in the roles that you would not traditionally associate with anything digital, but it's actually penetrating across the industry. And when we were designing the course, we had in mind what kind of talent would we like to attract, what the newcomers in our function should have, what kind of skills. And we really identified that digital literacy is something that we are looking for the future. So this is something that we want our students to come out of the program equipped for if they move on into the role in regulatory. Yeah,
Barbara, if you,
that,
sorry.
Yeah. Again, this was really, really successful. So I just wanted to say, maybe for all the CSL R&D people on the call, these lectures are actually open to all of you. So if you really want to participate, it has been as well in the last year, but it's also something that is open to all CSL R&D members. All the lectures for our certificate for advanced studies is available for free. So this is something that our division has really hard worked to achieve.
This is awesome. Yeah. So to learn new skills, like, yeah, I love learning. So maybe this is like, you know, to support this. And Barbara, maybe you have to add, you want to add something on that? Unmute.
We still have the unmute even after 3 years of yeah, what I'm doing quietly now, also with support of our omni-channel expert at CSL Behring, is for internal people really also developing the basics around omni-channel, having in mind what I already mentioned before, that it's a combination of understanding the customers, understanding what the customers want, and so on. So we develop workshops, e-learnings, and set mindset internally, but inviting also experts from external to really now for marketeers, mostly due to the fact also of my function, to really understand the basics of omni-channel, including digitalization and the network and the link to the more analog approach. And as said, also from the other side, from the more commercial field force side, it's developing training with support of also agencies, external agencies, and for example also professional schools in St. Gallen and so on, to really develop also this whole orchestration skills through training to best practice, and also really help them to prepare calls, prepare engagements, and do workshops with them to enhance not only digitalization, but the whole customer engagement, as we call it. Yeah.
Yeah, so many interesting things, but I think that before we go to questions, because I heard that there are questions from the audience, and also I would like that we give the audience chance to ask, even not only in chat, but maybe that they open their camera, at least mic, and that they address directly to our speakers. I would like to hear for like the last question from my side. It's based on your experience in the digital transformation journey in biopharma. What advice would you give to professionals? What is something you would like to share? What maybe not only maybe helped you, but also inspired you, or gave you some kind of different side of the coin or the story? Some narrative which will help or which will be useful for the audience. All three of you. Carmen, maybe you can start, or...
Sure. So I think some of these points have been mentioned before. I would definitely recommend staying open and adaptable, and really not just thinking of the technical aspects. I think if you want to enter a space, at least for me, I thought, let's upskill my programming skills. Let's, take courses in whatever language you'd like to learn. And I found that actually a lot of it is not just about the technical skills, but actually the interhuman skills, the way how you can convince someone to use a tool, the way you can convince the business to invest into digital transformation. So that would be my advice.
Thanks. Thank you. Tamara?
Yeah, I think that was a very, very good point. And also we do work in teams, so we do share. Therefore, we don't all have to have the same background or same skills. It's good to have a mix, and particularly in this space. And if we want to advance innovation, it's actually very important that we have diversity. That's why we're here today. And I would suggest, if somebody really doesn't know where to start, or where this is a big industry and there are so many opportunities, and not every job, and not even the same job, different companies, it doesn't come the same. So I would really recommend, from personal experience, is to network, to get to know the people. And then there is no better feeling than finding your tribe, and finding that really the circle, the team, where you bring something and where you still have things to learn, and where as a whole you really can advance forward. So this can only be achieved with really going out there, meeting people, talking, following that red thread, something that you can bring, but something you're also interested in. So that would be my input there.
So I already hear next time we will meet in person, and this event will be in person. So it will be like challenging. So, and Barbara?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the first thing is do what you do with enthusiasm. Really look at what would help you, or what inspires you based on what you have done or your background. But pharma, they are open to open-minded people, because, as already also mentioned by my two colleagues, it's so crucial how you collaborate between different functions at pharma. And you will see a lot of different people, and each skill, I call that incremental gains. Everybody of us brings an expertise, an enthusiasm, an energy. And if this is positive and you put everything together, even 1% increase in doing something good gives an incremental change. And I can only really recommend you keep your eyes open to all what Carmen, also Tamara also mentioned. Keep your eyes open and bring your mind and enthusiasm with you. When you look, and as I said, I'm a neurophysiologist. I started as a clinical study manager, doing monitorings, looking at studies, really a quite regulated way. And now, with open mindset and so on, I'm in such a big topic and such a big customer engagement approach that if you are open-minded, you also increase even more your enthusiasm. So if you believe in what you do, you will be at the right position wherever, in every function you can have at pharma.
Beautifully said. I think for all professions, and I think that this is generally in business, because this is the kindness and openness and like collaborativeness. And this is like what it's amazing what you send also as a message. And so I would like now to invite my colleagues, Jana and Emilia, if you can help me with questions. I don't know how many questions we have from the audience, or you can pick few of them.
Yes, Andrea, I collected 4 questions from the audience.
So
first
we'll
of
do
all,
this. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. You will do this. So each question, you know, Tamara, Carmen, or Barbara, you raise your hand who is the best to answer them.
Thank you very much to everyone for the valuable insight and your experience shared. It's very inspiring. There are several questions from the participants, so let's look at them together. The first question was from Jeanette. Do you find it a challenge balancing the power of your genuine purpose in improving people's life every day with the acceleration of technology today? Who would like to answer?
Maybe you can repeat this.
Yes, I can put it as well once more into the chat. Do you find it a challenge balancing the power of your genuine purpose in improving people's lives every day with the acceleration of technology today?
Who would like to answer this?
So
Carmen?
maybe I can start. Sure, like quick technology and quick, you know, like changements in the technological space can be a challenge, but for me, it's mostly a way to, you know, like to prove our promise to patients. It's a support in the end. Obviously with its challenges, but this is what we hope to use to put it to best use for our patients. Maybe someone else wants to comment as well.
I think that's a good point. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question, but for us, it's very exciting. It's not so much a challenge to see the new technologies, but it's very much exciting what we can do with it. Can we push it forward? Can we use it today rather than tomorrow so that we can actually speed up our processes, make them more efficient and bring the medicine closer to patients today, basically. So it's not so much, the challenge is, can we do it quicker?
Yeah, maybe I can also add, you know, at the end, it's really thinking further. I mean, that digitalization, new technology, it's not only the way we interact with our patients or what the way the technologies, how we do put on processes. But if we think also to the future, there might be technologies which help us to develop drugs, which are much more focused and patient, you know, individual focused, where digitalization is needed. Like, let's say, an intelligent drug, which is made only, for example, for Barbara and wouldn't work for Tamara. That's also technology coming. It might be a challenge, but clearly in pharma, you don't roll out, you don't put any drug, you don't put any service on the market if it's not safe for the patient. So even if technology is fast, pharma will never rush only to be the first one on the market. They will think and assure that safety is there before, you know, business achievement, let's say, because again, the patient is at the center, and clearly it's nice to be agile and have technology and looking for resources to run, but not without, you know, not without assuring safety also for our patients.
I can give a practical example here. Maybe it's just how we operate. Maybe that's a challenge and touches onto the next question that's in the chat. But it's just, I got inspired when Barbara was talking. We have, for example, a drug, a medicine that at CSL that is very successful, and we are expanding markets. So I work on submitting, you heard about, to import, to get the drug into another market, you have to apply for permissions. You heard about it through all the COVID-19 and the vaccine approval. So I'm, for example, involved in that. And there are markets in which there are no opportunities to do so digitally. I have sent 38 folders of paper to a particular health authority, and it's very frustrating process to put together this amount of documentation in paper format. And this used to be a standard. And right now there are also, most of the time we send them digitally. And there are some new projects that we have where, as an industry, I mean, where there is just instant exchange of data. And this is where we are going for. This is what we want to do and move away. And a challenge right now is that we have to service all these different ways of submissions, so that we have to adapt to health authorities that require paper. We have to be technically equipped as well to communicate through particular gateways and exchange platforms to some health authorities. And then there are ones that we really want to be part of, where we have instant data exchanges and where patients have the biggest impact.
Great, Diana, maybe next question. Thanks. This is like inspiring, not only like new how to say, information, but also inspiring.
Thank you very much. The next questions, I just copied it in the chat. It's, can you share some practical experience with real use case you have implemented at CSL, the challenges you faced during the journey and how you overcome? This question is from Ranga. Thank you.
Who would like to pick this one?
There are some limitations in which information we can actually share in such a public forum. So I'm very sorry for that. In terms of actual use cases implemented, we cannot give too much details. But there are, for example, I remember some public information about implementation in our, I think it's some sort of a Google Glasses, for example, that is, we are able to very fast scan incoming shipments of different raw materials and different supply, so that it's automatically registered in our systems. So that's a very, very brief example, but unfortunately we cannot share more.
Now we can just only imagine what will be with these new Apple glasses, you know, this VR, whatever. Amazing. Jana?
Thank you very much. We have a participant, Gilles, who raised his hand. Could you please ask a question?
Yes, thank you very much for sharing your insights and your experience. I think it's always good to get these kind of things. You mentioned the speed of evolution of technologies, data, and things like that. One of the challenges I'm currently seeing is human beings, we are not able to adapt as fast as the speed of transformation, the speed of evolution. And quite quickly, and we are already seeing that today, we become completely overloaded by the amount of information. The level of increase in productivity in the 20 last year has been close to zero. So despite the fact that we have massive new technologies, you mentioned glasses, Apple glasses, Google glasses, virtual reality, AI, and machine learning, and so on, we are not seeing any positive impact on productivity. So basically what I'm seeing, and we didn't tackle that too much today, and I would be happy to get your view on that, is individuals are not able to absorb that. So we go into the impact of organizational setup, organizational design, how we evolve our organizations, how we manage our HR evolution. This is not necessarily something which is put in focus when we talk about digital transformation. So I would be interested in getting your view on how do you see the needs from an organizational evolution point of view. And the second topic is we talk about diversity. What would you see the impact that women can have on that? Because we are inherently different. We are inherently bringing different types of things, thoughts, capabilities. And I would be interested in understanding your thoughts of how can we do things differently and better in order to leverage optimally on capabilities, inherent capabilities of women, and what should we do from an organizational point of view?
Who will take this one?
Maybe I can give it a start. I see 3 questions raised. One about we've seen a lot of new technology, but productivity isn't going up. Yes, I think there's definitely, it's a very good point. Personally, for me, it's not just about efficiency increase, it's also about innovation in that space, and saying the magic word ChatGPT, you know, like in that sense, I think there have been considerable, you know, advances. And now I've again forgot the second and the third, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, that you've mentioned structure of the organization. And I think there, I would like to see that we do attribute enough importance to these topics. Because we do, if we don't, then we are overloading people. It is a new way to work. It's not even easy to adapt with simple things, but then with these very complex things, which really disrupt not just your job life, but your private life as well. Yes, somehow you need to get that time to adapt, to understand why you're doing certain things and not to be overloaded. Yes. And I think with that, I'd like to hear what Barbara and Tamara have to say.
Maybe, you know, I think in some of the functions, if I look at from a professional point of view now, productivity has increased quite a lot also. Let's take, for example, field forces. Field forces, there was a time where they really had only the opportunity to be out to see healthcare professionals by stepping into their offices, having, you know, this planned call, knocking at doors. With digitalization, for example, there was an opportunity to open much more doors, right? On one hand, and they were also much more effective, not only because through digitalization and through the whole virtual engagement opportunity, they lost travel times, right? They lost travel times to go from one doctor to the other. They added much more time. They could do virtual session one after the other much more. But the most important thing where effectiveness was increased really a lot was the fact that when you had a digital or virtual engagement with a physician, it was mostly in the evening. It was mostly when there was no patient around the HCP. And that meant also that you have the full attention of this customer around what you and what he wanted to hear from you. So effectiveness there for me increased quite a lot. And we have done the next step, but again, without losing also the face-to-face and analog, or, you know, really meeting our customer. And maybe, you know, when it comes to the question about what a woman or women can bring also to this approach, maybe sometimes is seeing also the big picture, you know, the interlinks between, and seeing the next step. Often this is what women might have more handy than all the other genders, let's say, because they need to tend from an intrinsic biological point of view to assure security around them for the babies and so on. It was as an instinct, but it's also, you know, what does it mean what I do today for the near future to secure certain steps. So I think this mind or networking linking capabilities, which is much more intrinsic maybe in women's, might support also this whole engagement approach, where digital, clearly again seeing it from a more commercial point of view, is so crucial. Tamara, I don't know if you want to add something to the...
Yeah, it's very interesting because I went with my thoughts completely third direction compared to the two of you, which is also quite interesting. But I was really thinking about, oh, we have so much technology, you said, Gil, in the beginning, and there's no movement in terms of productivity. I think we have a lot of buzzwords flying around and a lot less technology actually being implemented. We have a lot of discussions about digitalization roadmaps, strategies, but actually really rarely we have a strategy that is set up that is really discussing what is our competitive advantage, how do we get there? So very concretely, so that we can implement the right technologies and get the right people on the bus, get the right people on the team. And now when the point is, who are the people on the team? It doesn't matter whether it's Tamara or Gil or Andrea. It's, or is there too many women or there is too few women? So we are talking about individual differences. So as long as we are diverse from our backgrounds, from our opinions, and we can understand the same question in 3 different ways, we're actually a good team. So that was my opinion about it.
This is this intrinsic added value, what Barbara said. So, is it, do we have another questions?
Yes. Thank you, Tamara. This was very interesting, especially about the diversity. That it's not only about men and women and the combination, but it's especially the backgrounds, cultural, professional, private background is makes it all together.
Age.
Exactly. Hair color, skin color.
Yeah.
We could go on. In the latest conversation, you mentioned as well AI, and we have a question about what are the use cases you see for generative AI applied to biopharma. Question comes from Marie. I just put it in the chat.
So artificial intelligence in digital transformation, yeah, challenging one. Who will answer this one?
We are quite far from generative AI, so to be clear, so we are still, if we can implement the basic level AI, that would be very, very good. But I don't know if Carmen maybe has a better example.
I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, there are evaluations of AI ongoing. There are certain use cases where it's, you know, very beneficial, but there's definitely also other ways to solve some of the challenges you find. And then there's also, you know, in terms of data quality, you always need to weigh what kind of tool you want to apply to.
And quantity.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tamar.
No, I just wanted to say it's not just quality of data, but also quantity of data and what kind of models actually fit. And there is a specific, I would say even a role who needs to decide on this. So there's a specific expertise also needed to assess the data and to know exactly what kind of models would fit and generate the correct insights. So we are looking into it. We are also looking a lot into just basic automation opportunities, and this is something that is also across industry very popular way forward. So there is a lot of processes that can be in full or partially automated, and there are so many opportunities that if you're interested in it, there's always roles that are touching on this point.
Do we have maybe?
Yeah, thank you very much. I have 2 more questions which I would like to combine together. It's about entering the biopharma or changing within the pharma industry without kind of the background, coming from a different background. So I just put in a chat the first question and we'll copy the second one. I think they would be nicely to be answered together. And we have as well, touched the topic during the conversations where Barbara already answered the digital marketing, digital media, on all kinds of digital skills will be more and more important, and the change of jobs within the industries as well, very well possible.
So maybe if I can add, I see one is, I mean, project management in digital pharma, it's always, or in pharma in general, it's always important. If somebody has a project management background, don't be scared to contact Biopharma. You will be needed everywhere in each of the functions somehow, because having a well-structured approach, and it's very important. I can tell you, I'm sitting in the commercial excellence team, right? And we agreed in our team that at least 50% of our daily work should be focusing on innovation, for example. Innovation and assuring that we have the next step also of engagement and so on. So also people coming from an innovation manager background is very important to or can find a good position also in biopharma. Nevertheless, also there, you know, I always say, how can you speak about the product if you don't understand that? So even if you are coming from a business, from a project, what I would recommend and suggest, be open also to having the willingness to understand which product your pharma or the pharma company you are in is producing, has in the pipeline, or has on the market, because only if you understand what at the end the patient receives from you, it's also understanding in each of the more technological or clinical or process or whatever steps you do in your daily work at pharma. But again, in summary, you don't always need to have a business or a scientific background, depending on the function you will find at pharma. Yeah.
And to add to that, I think all three speakers here today are all examples of, you know, like you study something, you go somewhere, you can change. So, yeah.
Great. Do we have some other questions, or maybe somebody from the audience would like to directly address our speakers? You have now chance to ask. Yeah, we have one.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks because I think your insights are great and very encouraging. For my part, I'm coming from an innovation management background, currently working in health insurance, so related to health. But you know, I'm reflecting, you know, I'm moving towards biopharma. So it was very encouraging. I just wanted to say thanks.
Right. So the great topic and lots of learnings shared. Somebody else? We don't have questions. Maybe Tamara, Carmen, or Barbara, you want to say something in the end, or?
I mean, I can first of all thank you for being there. Still quite a lot of people online on a Friday evening. It was, for me, also a new experience. That's also adapting, right, to speak about the topic. And again, also thank you, Andrea, for inviting us there. I wish all of you a lot of success. Pharma is really, it's such a nice place to work. So be open-minded again, be digital, but don't forget your human skills, because without them, even digital doesn't really bring in anything. So thank you for being there from my side and having the opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you, Barbara.
That was beautifully said, Barbara. It was really a pleasure to speak today. Reach out if you have further questions. And And I think networking has been mentioned before, but you've already invested, 1.5 hours of your Friday evenings here, which is a great way to kick something off, to show interest, and keep going.
Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah, I almost have nothing to add. Yeah, thank you for spending this time with us. For me, it was very impressive to see the number who appeared on Friday afternoon. And we had a lot of fun, and keep going. And thank you for the invite.
Yes, it was really, really a pleasure to host you as a companies, as a people, and as a speakers. And I would really give a big thanks from the side of Women in Digital to our speakers, Dr. Tamara Markovic, Dr. Carmen Weber, and Dr. Barbara Birtoli. And special thanks also goes to CSL Behring Talent Acquisition Switzerland for supporting and organizing today's event with us, with Women in Digital. And also thank you, Alban. We haven't heard your voice today, but you were the one who organized us and managed this collaboration very nicely. And it was amazing to work with you last few months. And thank you to my team, to Women in Digital. Here with us today were Karen. You haven't seen her. She's Vice President of Women in Digital. Jana, you heard Jana, but she's a Customer Relations Manager. And Emilia, she is VP Marketing and Communication. All our contacts, I hope that they are shared in the chat, so feel free to reach of us, and especially also with speakers, and have amazing weekend. And thank you once again for being with us and sharing your thoughts, stories, and experience, because I think that this is very important in the world of today. And yes, connect. This is the last part of this virtual thing, but we can be connected in the virtual world also. Thank you, everybody, and I wish you great rest of the day, great Friday, and nice weekend.